justice for all.
Call the meeting to order with everyone present. Item on the agenda this morning, Barb Schrader, Conservation Director with the Nesty Valley Road discussion.
Yeah, just thought I'd bring you up to date, and then Mike and I, we've been kind of working on this separately, and we're to a point where we kind of have to come together. So I think it's time to involve the supervisors on this. So we've got Land and Water Conservation Fund grants to lay out the campground and do the campground spurs and the campground roadways and the access road, and the county is providing engineering for the roadway and the 50,000 as matching for that grant. So we're to the point where the roadway and the campground driveways need to meet up. And so we have Erdman Engineering doing the work for the County Conservation Board. So just wanted to see, well, let you know where we're at, and make sure that Mike and the Secondary Roads Department is doing what you folks are expecting of us.
So, and just as where it stands right now, the county has preliminary plans connecting, forgetting which road it is,
Kind of like,
the county line to the site. I haven't put much work into finishing those plans up as of yet. The idea is that make sure that everyone is in agreement that we're moving forward on this, and have a set of coordinated plans at the most economical cost to the county. So I would be working with Erdman to do things like the stormwater pollution prevention plan, and tie everything, all those loose ends together. So just want to make sure that the Board of Supervisors does intend to move forward with this project. So I'm not, so that we're not, spinning our wheels, getting in making progress with this project.
Do we have the money for it?
We don't currently have it because it was originally budgeted in infrastructure funds, which we don't have anymore at this point. So I guess that's another part of the discussion, is to figure out where how you're gonna pay for it. I mean, you could have Michael pay for the 50,000 out of his budget, or you'll have to come up with it someplace else.
Well, I think this has been the plan for the last few years, with the Nesty Road being connected and working with their engineer's office.
that was a whole different Board of Supervisors at the time.
And this is also an economic development piece and tourism. We're in desperate need of campsites in Winneshiek County. So it's definitely part of our tourism and economic development income.
What'd you do? I heard it there a minute.
Just a moment, please, Mike, mute your mics.
She said.
Do you have any preliminary budget estimates yet on the cost of all of this road work? Camp spurs and loop and everything associated with all this?
Well, the County Conservation Board's taking care of the campground end of everything. We're just looking at, from the county, is the plans and the 50,000. The rest of it, the County Conservation Board's taking care of. So, and the grant's 125,000, and we're looking at coming to the end of my extensions with that. Isaac had worked on those original plans, and so we've had some delays.
And the idea is that from the town line road to the actual park entrance is part of the county road system. So that's going to be a county road up until at some point where it becomes the park. So it isn't the driveway. right?
That is,
That's the
that
one.
is my.
Yeah, it was before any of these guys. So
Right.
Barb and I are talking,
Yes.
basically you have to confirm that. So
Yes, so that brings it into the park and opens it up. And then once, not the campground roadway, just the park entrance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from the town line road to the park entrance is actual Class A county road, which is the plan, because then the county engineer's office could do this work on it.
Correct.
It's kind of like Lake Mark.
Well, actually, like Meyer ends at none of the park road is
You count.
county, but the road going out's not, it's never been county conservation board though. That's always been county road.
I think you were made a commitment by the county to support this. And I think we need to make sure that we follow through.
Even though it's a grant, no.
I'll double check with her. We talked about having, it open for bids by this fall. So, I don't know if I can get another extension. So,
I don't get to understand, where is, the park entrance is not there at Town Line Road. It's somewhere back on the old Nesty property.
well,
Yes.
Yes.
So anybody can drive like a Class A road up until whatever point it becomes the park entrance.
yeah, once you make it the road,
Yes.
yeah. Right now, it's just a single track driveway.
Right. But how far, so does it go all the way back to the old Nesty farmhouse? or-
Yeah.
It's
It does.
actually, right now, it goes into the farmyard, but
Yeah, I-
once we do this project, there's going to be a gate, and it'll be like a cul-de-sac type of turnaround, and no one will be driving into that farmyard. And that will be preserved. So,
So we're creating the, if I understand you correctly, from Town Line back to that point, somewhere near the old farmhouse,
correct,
probably over the hill, I'm guessing.
yes,
Back in that area back there that'll be a county Class A road.
correct,
And then from that point on, it will be
county park road,
the other county park road.
correct.
I guess our only pull up here is where does 50,000 come from?
I mean, you didn't have it specifically budgeted at this point, but I mean, you had some other potential money, like if you sell property out the old DHS building, or you've already spent some of the extra money from the sale of the Freeport land on the payments for the building to Spectrum, yeah.
The only other one we have is the Festina sewer project.
Yeah, there'll be some money coming back.
How much is left from the other sale of the Freeport?
I mean, you spent more than what you
Okay.
got because you had some leftover budget funds from some departments at the end of last year, and you decided to pay $750,000 towards the $1 million that you owe on this building from Spectrum.
And we may be getting some back from the Festina.
Right.
Yes.
Maybe, or it comes out of Ben's reserve funds for cash flow, right?
Yeah, basically, that's right.
This commitment was made. This has been in the planning for how many years?
Yeah, we held it in the,
We could probably work this out, but we want to just make sure for the time being that Mike and I can continue moving forward. And I guess is mainly what we're asking is if we can continue working forward and we can work out the money. When it gets a little closer to needing to do that, we're going to need to go to bid this fall so we can get this project started and ensure that we don't lose those grant funds.
So, Mike, that's approximately somewhere over a quarter of a mile back to where the park
Yes.
entrance
Yes.
would be. And is this going to be a Class A gravel or Class A paved?
Gravel.
My understanding has always been that it's just gonna be a gravel road. I had think we had discussed that there was something about being paved, but I had not heard anything about that
Yeah.
up until that point.
Because I don't know that you could build a Class A paved road at that distance for 350,000 would be.
No,
That was never in the plans.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know where paving came from, but that's never, ever been part of the.
That's just those town signs already. So
It's-
unless you're gonna pave that.
It's
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't get much resistance on that.
Yeah.
What's the goal for the future on this whole thing? We don't understand where you're going. I know what Nestle's did for you, but what's your goal for the future of Winneshiek County? What are you gonna do? How many campsites you gonna have? What are you gonna furnish to the county?
Okay, so, the plans are around 30 campsites. And, right now, this plan's just getting the spurs in. I'll have to write more grants to get the money for doing the water and the electric lines and everything like that. And then get a shower house and restroom facility put in. The park itself will be the halfway point of the dry run trail, which is going to be key trailhead for, it may be the starting point for a lot of folks. And the park is a preserve in a way for, it has the federally endangered rusty patch bumblebee and the globally endangered oak savannas. So right there, it's protecting those natural resources for the county. So and it's a beautiful farmstead. The archaeology's been done on the entire parcel, and the barn is unique. And the farmstead, we still have an outhouse and a summer kitchen, and so I can see us doing some historic interpretation with students also. And
This is all Iowa money you're talking about, or county money, or federal money? Whose money is that?
all of the above. All of the above. The grant we're talking about right now is federal money. So,
If you've followed Barb over the years, she's brought in millions of dollars to this county for campsites and conservation and watersheds, and the list is long. And a $50,000 match on this grant is needed.
The new trail will connect Prairie Farmer Trail to the
truck
Truck
run
run
trail.
trail.
So,
So I mean, I think it's a huge benefit for the people in the southern part of the county to have access in that campsite. I know the campsite will be used heavily because of its location in between.
well, and the Nesty property itself provides a mile of trail route itself.
Yeah.
So that's extremely valuable. Every time we can secure large sections of trail, and it's in public ownership, so folks can picnic. They'll be able to camp there. It'll be it'll be a huge asset to the county.
I think it's nice to be able to connect the southern part to the other Decorah area trail, and
Well,
it's gonna be a huge plus.
yes, the smaller towns that are connected to the Prairie Farmer are looking forward to that connection. I know they see it as providing an increase in usership on the Prairie Farmer. And this trail the dry run trail is considered, has statewide and regional importance by connecting to Decorah. We're looking at the Backbone Trail, which is Trout Run Trail, Dry Run, Prairie Farmer, and we connect to the Fayette County, their trail system, and in Howard County, their trail systems are going over into Mitchell. So we're creating a great network up here in Northeast Iowa that the more miles of trail you have, they say the more people will come. So,
Do you have any drawings or anything of this potential campsite, what it's supposed to look like?
yeah, we hired a firm out of Waterloo. They created design for us that urban engineering's been working off of. So I don't have it on me today. Sorry, I didn't.
So I think that'd be something I'd like to see. You know, it was a past board that
Okay.
okayed the money to begin with. And
Well, that was for the roadway. The county conservation board has
Yes, I
been
get that.
managing the campground portion,
put all
so,
the ties together.
so.
I think the public, there's a lot of, just like Mr. Lynch brought up, I think there's a little bit of a vacuum of information for people to understand what you're talking about, Barb. Not making any comment on its validity or not, but I think we need to get more out. Even this is, it's always on the recording so people can see it, some kind of a presentation that you could put together and some material that they could see. Perhaps the newspaper would be interested in a story to be able to get this further along. So people would see the increased value that it brings to the county.
For the campground itself.
And the scheme of what you brought out in 30 seconds is probably overwhelming to a lot of people.
Well, and some of it is still in the works and we have to respect private property landowners. And until some of those routes have been secured, I have to be very careful what I put out to the public. So there's that aspect, but you know, I guess every year I give a report and talk about what our projects are and where we're at with things. So, but I can put together a presentation again. I'll be doing it in December, January with my annual report. But I can do another report before then if that's, you know.
Well, what really just to maybe define it a little better. Vision casting is probably what I'm really saying. Where the exact route of the trail would go, I know that's changed over time and things of that nature. So I'm not asking you to violate any property owners or relationships that you're trying to garner there. It's just so people better understand, okay, we're planning on a campground, we're planning on being able to use it this way, you can picnic here and so forth. I call that vision casting personally.
Okay.
So, and I think that's what may be what I hear from our audience here today.
Okay, we can do that again. When we purchased the property, we did a full page front page article, but we can do it again. It's been a lot of years since we've done that, so we can do that again.
That would be,
So-
I would find that,
Yeah.
I think, very helpful.
Okay.
Would we want that as a presentation then to us? Is that what you're saying? Or?
Well, this is the best venue, I mean,
Yeah.
because it gets people
Okay.
watching the board meetings and so forth, so it gets out further, I think.
Would you be able to do something by next Monday? Or?
No.
Well, that's the problem is that you want to know so you can.
Well, you guys gotta I'm sorry, but I have been burning the candle at both ends. I have a grant due tomorrow at 5:00. And I'm sorry, but I'm short-staffed and I cannot put any more on my plate right now, please. When I get a chance to put this together, I will get on the agenda with Ben, but please don't assign a timeline with me right now, okay?
Okay. No, that would be very helpful though.
So do you want Michael
So-
to continue working
I'm
and
gonna work to set up the SWIP and get work with Erdman's and get all of the, I'll call it front running, all of the engineering on the road and the site and make sure that we're working together so that we have one mobilization for that whole project.
Barb, were you thinking on the road to get rid of that visual of the rise in the road? Is that going to be a safety issue?
I have not, all I know is there are plans that are there and I have spent about this much time looking I don't know where it is exactly. I have mostly just been coordinating on what efforts need to happen. So
I think Mike and I will work on that
So,
and we'll go out together and look at the site.
yeah.
can I note in the minutes that the consensus is to have Michael continue working on the road project with funding to be determined and report by Barb at a future meeting?
Sounds good.
Thank you. That's the direction that I wanted to make sure we had.
Thanks, Barb.
Thanks.
All right, it's your time now, Mike.
Okay, so the fuel bid tabs came in. Ag Advantage was a little bit on propane and diesel. Recommend board approval of their bids.
Is our diesel up or down from last year?
The diesel is the same unit price above rack, so it's this is my first bid on this, so I'm not exactly sure how all these numbers work, but the 1 cent is the same as it was last year.
So we just pay the established rack average of the day that we get a load of fuel, and then we pay an additional 1 cent.
Yeah,
for
additional
delivery, basically.
Right, and there's been inquiries into changing how we bid this. I'm just gonna have to review all of that. That came to my office probably 2 weeks ago,
No.
and yeah, this is all new to me, so I just know that the bids, the Ag Advantage came in low, and they're roughly the same as last year, so.
Anyone like to take your action on that?
You buy that in county or out of county?
It comes, well, the propane comes from Waverly, and then the diesel also comes from that Waverly. So
Both bids are.
A significant difference in the diesel. $11,000.
yeah,
Worth noting is that there wasn't a in-county bidder.
No, that's
No.
what I was stating.
Yeah.
Both from one was from Waverly.
We used to be propane almost always, the bid went to Hovey, but they don't. And Hubden a lot of times did the fuel, but this is bid.
Upton is asked about the bidding process as well.
Yep.
So,
He said he talked to you.
yeah,
He was real, he thanked.
yeah, no, I
Thanks for listening to him. Said,
I need to talk to other counties. I know that discussion has been that this has probably done it for a long time. But again, it's a learning process on what it is we need to do, but we need to get these bids figured out for the winter this year.
I moved to approve the Ag Advantage.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the bids from Ag Advantage. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Over the rack prices.
Should I go through the initial report then?
Okay.
Steve asked if we pay road use tax on a fuel, and no, the fuel we buy directly is tax exempt. If we have departments that buy fuel at a gas station or something, my office compiles the report to the state to get a refund on those taxes. So if like the sheriff's department has cars, they can stop at gas stations to fuel up, and so when they do that, we file to get the tax back on those purchases.
All right, so I'll start on the engineer's report. Since last meeting, Bridge 5, cleanup of the bridges, occurred. You're prepping for approaches, and that the approach should probably start late this week or early next. Bridge 208E check plans are being prepared for submittal. I looked them over Friday of last week. W14 overlays will begin after neighboring projects in Howard and Alameda counties are finished.
Have we got any yeses yet? Because I'll get grilled on that Wednesday night.
They're, I'll call it rumors.
Yeah. That's close enough. That's close enough.
That there might be equipment in later in the week. And the rumor is perhaps sometime next week we'll start on the Ridgeway portion, but that's nowhere near confirmed, and that's reading tea leaves is my understanding. The lake with River City is out on Friday. Bridge 313 and Bridge 317A are open to the public. Speed study is the same place it was last week. Subdivision the same. Community Bridge Odyssey project is placed. Striping operation is being discussed with Farner. We have mapped out the striping, our surveying, mapped out the striping. Looking at possibly next week. We still like the edges to be worked in a little bit more. This equipment malfunction and work with DNR is progressing. I have, I think, one more contact to make this week. Upcoming union negotiations. I haven't heard anything this past week on that. So
I thought I heard John Anderson was recommending not to jump into too much until the unions have to hold an election to whether continue to be in the union or not. So he was basically saying no use trying to do work ahead of time until we know for sure that the unions are still existing.
okay. Yep, as soon as I hear something, I'll keep going on that. FEMA events, we brought in all the flood debris that was up against the bridges. They're drying in the site near the landfill. Categories A and Z will have to be worked out with FEMA on those claims. Estimates and quotes for Ridgeway shop improvements have been received. The N4 heat will be provided where current cold storage exists, and then we are getting an extra storage bin because it was the cold storage was like a pole barn, and we just nailed and hung chains and stuff up and signs and things like that. We're gonna insulate it, and we don't want to damage that wall, so we're gonna provide a storage shed that was procured this week. The safety data that guides decisions for improvements on the SS4A program, that no new news there. We had a 6 county meeting in Kendallville on Thursday last week at K-Town Tap. Hosted by Howard County. House Bill HF 718 was discussed, and at the engineers portion, a lot of discussion went into the advantages of Caterpillar motor breakers over John Deere. I've had 2 meetings this week. I met with Truck Country and Don Sales to generate specifications for county tandem trucks, trying to get ahead on our fleet before the 2027 fleet emissions requirements are in order. I'm working with Chuck Britson to analyze the railcar bridges. We might have to rate a couple of our railcar bridges that are not rated now. And then I'm looking to go to Clinton County tomorrow to observe the installation of base stabilization for our gravel roads. This is the hope here is to use less material over time. It will be less dusty. And going there to see what materials, how they install certain materials. They've had more success with a product called Base One. I believe that's what I'll be heading to see tomorrow. But there's another product I'm looking at called Permazyme that uses an enzyme as its base stabilization. And I'll go inspect some of the roads that they've used for Permazyme. So
this is the product you were talking about when we had this short discussion about 150. Yeah.
yes, I'm looking at installing as a tertiary goal would be dust control, but yes, absolutely.
But this is an application product, not necessarily a base grade or something like that underneath the existing roadways.
So Clinton County, their discussion with the Base One is that they put a tile line underneath the road to help keep it drained, and then install this Base One. It's a water-based, I'll call it solvent. I don't know much about it, but they install that and the tile underneath the road to keep it dry. And the idea is that you maintain the roads. With the Base One, I'm not sure what it was, but the Permazyme they talked about 3 times a year or 4 times a year instead of the 15 to 30 times a year. And then you need less rock applications. So you're targeting 150 ton per mile per year for our gravel roads would be call it a rough target. And that number would come down over the long term. But that's what this it comes out soupy, and there's a whole bunch of different things on how to install it, because we've tried it once and it didn't work out well. So I'm going there to see its installation. So
I'd like to see the environmental impacts of some of these things. What's the makeup of what you're applying?
so one of the reasons I like the Permazyme is that it is it's one of the things they grilled the marketer about, and there's no residual. It changes the cationic bond, so it's an enzyme, and that it decomposes into a natural method to bond the fines together at an electric level. I forget the exact name of it. I'm sorry, but the Base One is a different product, and I'm not as certain on that product what its environmental impact is. So, but that's what they'll have. They're installing the Permazyme today in Clinton County, and they have some left over tomorrow, and they are going to do the Base One. That's the last I talked to on Friday. So I'm looking at.
Are they doing these projects as, others, or these kind of like test projects for them as well, that they're gonna install them on 2 different types on 2 different roads to see how they look?
Some of that, the base stabilization in Iowa has been spearheaded mostly by Washington County. And Clinton County is I'll call it number 2. And the engineer there, Todd Kenny, is said that he has a Base One installation that's 2 years old. So I'll probably be looking at visiting and seeing what that looks like, feels like. There's a lot of numbers in my head, so the number that I think I remember, it costs about $50,000 per mile to install. So
it's not something you just go out and do it all of the roads.
you can't just
As you update or upgrade roads, you could be doing a road a year or something.
Yes, I mean, one of the big concerns I have with it is because it is soupy. Do we close down a lane and do one side at a time with the gravel roads? And do I need to do that? Because it's kind of a weird thing to do on gravel roads and it's just, you know, a whole bunch of, I don't know.
Logistics associated with the installation.
So, yeah, like I said, this is gonna be this will be a first warming. I invited some staff to go with me, but with W14 and all the projects going on, I think I might be going solo. So,
What's the,
Go ahead.
what's the cost dollar on the Ridgeway shop redoing that?
I'm budgeting 100,000. I think we'll be under. I think we'll be, the concrete work, we're looking at rough numbers here, 35,000. We're looking at the boiler and piping for roughly 15,000, and then some insulation work and now the shed was 8,500. We're still trying to figure out how to get it to the site. And then we're looking at possibly a new roof. So,
I'd be interested in seeing those bids.
Yeah.
okay.
Do you want one of the, and maybe would be too technical, but one or two of the board members to go with you tomorrow or not?
I'm happy if any of the board wants to.
If you're driving anyway.
I plan on driving, so it's 10 o'clock is when the base one installation will start. I haven't talked on the phone with Todd, any of Clinton County, but more than happy to take two of you down. 5 of you is a whole meeting, so then we have
3 is the whole thing.
3 of the meeting.
so.
Do
What
we-
time did you leave, Tom?
Again, I'd have to talk with
Okay.
Todd, but
3 hours.
yeah, it's gonna be Clinton County, so it's gonna be early.
We're replacing a culvert out here right off 9 by Boltner's there. Do they ever notify the people down the road that road's gonna be closed for? Because there is quite a few, I mean, they can go out and around, but do they notify them that they'll have to take a
So
different route?
Boltner, that's an interesting discussion so Boltner's, I think that's the cattle pass.
Yep, it is.
And that's a private drive into Boltner's, is my understanding. And we're gonna take that cattle pass and put it into Highlandville Road, North of
Oh,
Highlandville. Because there's an old wooden cattle pass. This is all part of the bridge crew.
Yeah,
Um,
but I didn't know if they let all the residents know down. Because there's quite a few of them. They gotta go around another way. You know, just, but, yeah.
on Highlandville Road, yes.
No, but I mean down where they're taking the cattle pass out. You can still go out another way, but it would just,
Okay,
did they ever notify them that?
not to my knowledge.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Because there is a lady lives just down a little ways. She's on oxygen and stuff. And if they gotta drive, if something didn't out, just say if something did happen, they'd have to go 5 miles around or more.
But your understanding is the cattle pass isn't on the.
Yeah, it's not on a gravel road.
Yeah, it is. The cattle pass, you go down the ground, I know exactly where it is. We used to have cattle going. Yeah, it's on the gravel road.
Okay,
It's not a private drive. It's the gravel road.
okay,
It's right off the highway.
interesting.
It's 150 feet off the highway.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, no, it's the gravel road. It's not a private driveway.
Okay, so.
I didn't know.
Because.
Yeah, he
The
just,
logistics,
because I had a call this morning on it, just,
the logistics of that,
yeah. I didn't know if they notified the other people down.
not.
Because they got a,
They did not.
so
So
there was I'm just saying they'd have to drive.
100%, it's gonna be closed. We should try to get that information out.
Yep.
Because
that might take more than a day, I would think.
but my impression was that was Boltner's.
No, that's right on the county road.
All right, I'll look into that some more.
Yeah, no,
On the Odyssey, on Canoe, we're doing center line striping only, not side striping.
We are doing side striping,
We're
and
not
that's,
doing side striping.
that was part of the contract, yes. And the side striping is why I would like to wait a little bit longer, just to get that side worked in, but
we're, yeah, otherwise you're gonna waste your.
we're
Gonna be
kind of at the
gone.
mercy of the contract, so, it is, they can kind of do it whenever they want, and so it's kind of a negotiation that we're doing, so.
Or eliminate at this point. We go back later and do it if we need to next year or whichever. If it's not gonna be suited.
I don't know if it's that bad, it's just what's ideal is, I think it's more like, it'll be fine if it's painted. Again, I haven't driven it this past week, so I don't know that, but I will say that was the discussion that we had with staff. Is that we would like it to work in a little bit more before that paint is done.
It's
We don't
getting
do,
better. I was on it yesterday.
and we don't do side striping every year anyway, so. Your idea is that when you put this on, it might be 2 or 3 years before you repaint it, so you're
Correct.
hoping it lasts that long.
Right, we're just trying to get it a good surface for it to get painted on.
Got a steamroller you can run down the edge.
If you guys, if you want to do it, don't tell me about it, and just do it. That's all I'm gonna say to that. But yeah,
Yeah, so maybe we should check on that, because that is not Boltner's. That's the.
I will look into that. I was under the impression that it was Boltner's cattle passes.
No, it's the county's.
My
cattle
Boltner.
pass. Yeah.
So,
All right. Does anyone have anything else for Mike?
I can't go Tuesday, I have a webinar, so 2 of the others can go, that'd be great. Or 1 person.
yeah, let me get in touch with Todd today, and then I'll look for an email, and I'll text everybody to check your emails.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Next on
You
the
have
agenda.
the tandem truck bids on the agenda, but you aren't ready to go out for those yet.
The bids should be in,
You have tandem truck purchasing discussion listed.
yes, but it is,
So we're.
I'm telling you that we're specifying it, why we're doing it. But the bids should come in not next week, but the following week. So then that Monday following. It's, what is it, 14th? I don't have.
Shoot me an email, make sure I have it on the agenda, but yeah.
Yes, that we're looking to have those bids from Don's and from Truck Country.
For how many trucks is done?
So I have to redo my budget. I have to amend my budget, but we're looking at 4 trucks and 6 trucks over the next 2 years. And that,
Where will that money come out of? For what's gonna get shorted and what's not
Project.
gonna get done?
we have 1.4 million towards projects, so we're gonna reduce the number of projects. We have the locust shop, which in 2025 has bridgeway improvements. Are front running that, and we're gonna move the fiscal locust budget to fiscal 2026 is the idea. Hopefully we can do it at the end of calendar 2025, still looking for that for calendar 2025. So that's where the budget, the money's coming from. And
I
then,
just don't wanna see us cutting $500,000 off gravel again next year.
I don't intend to do it at all. That's not the intent at all.
Okay,
So,
just, I mean, I just wanna make sure that we stay ahead of that gravel, cause.
yeah, the roads,
Didn't cut it back.
we cut it back
$1 million.
too much on the
So
rock, but
we
it
gotta
did-
stay ahead of that, otherwise we're gonna be so far back. that-
Yeah. So that's not the intent on,
Okay.
but it's
I just-
it's projects, and then kind of pushing the locust shop back to the second half of 2025, which is fiscal 2026.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Yep.
All right.
That'll get us almost all new trucks in within.
Yeah, the whole idea is that we'll have all trucks, our whole fleet that is gonna be operating
Ahead
as
of the
less than,
emissions.
less than 10 years old. And then that way, if we have to get a truck, they'll have to deal with the new technology,
Okay.
small scale.
All right, we have two miscellaneous items, first of which is.
You've got Andy is here, if you want to do him.
Should we do?
Oh.
Going
Okay.
in late.
Oh,
Morning, Andy. What do you got for us today?
I think the only thing I have is one of your miscellaneous items, and that's the recording of the meetings. I've recommended this to you back when we were having issues with people hearing and thinking we could get the closed captioning to work. We've had 3 lawsuits, and all 3 of those attorneys have recommended that you control the recordings. It's an official record that way. Not saying anyone would tamper with the private recordings, but we know what the end result is, and we have a public record that is easier to submit when it goes to court. The technology is there. I want you to give this some serious consideration because it is an issue when it comes to litigation. And it's a liability for you if you don't have it, frankly.
Can we discuss this policy and change policy today?
We're
In
going to
this meeting?
discuss it, but get to the miscellaneous.
Oh, not right now.
But it's not for action, so just discussion.
Anything else?
I think you need to, if you want to proceed, you could make an action, but you're gonna have to involve IT. I mean, you can't say today, we're gonna start and expect by next Monday they have everything all ready, so.
My expectation was that, yes, you'd have IT talk about your alternatives for how to manage it, how to store it, how to recover it, how to publicize it. But I think the decision, I think you need to start with the decision, are you going to do it or aren't you going to do it?
We will make that decision today.
I think you could make the decision that you're going to contact IT and bring them in next week and make a decision on it if that's the direction you're going to go.
My intent,
Yeah.
worded that is that you, because you have voted in the past not to do it, so you need something to say, we're going to do this, we need to know how to implement it, so.
I move that we,
Dan's ready for that on the.
I would make a motion that we record meetings and have a discussion with IT about how that can occur and how can we store that for the legal issues that our attorney has advised us of.
Report and
We
publicize.
can't say we're gonna record today. We can say, look into the IT, discuss how
Would it be safer to
discuss with IT. So,
Yeah.
make a plan for recording? And not
So
just
I'll amend that to make a plan for recording.
Yeah.
Period.
Second.
Have a motion, a second on record supervisors meetings. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed,
Plan for recording.
unanimous. All right, see what anything else for Andy?
Just that lease is this for
Yeah. They're still on the list.
And are you going to be available after this meeting
Yeah. I'm just gonna stick around for a few minutes.
for me to say?
Okay. Back up to miscellaneous, first of which is public health lease.
So we have this, basically it's the lease as was defined, the details in the purchase agreement when you bought or when you sold the Smith building. So it would start second day of October, and at the $9.25 per square foot that you had been charging them, they just use the same rate to charge us back for public health to lease the space. And it's just a month-to-month lease, so
Okay.
they can decide, If it's 3 months or 6 months or a year, or whatever, it'll be kind of in flux.
And it's a standard form lease. It's got the same terms and conditions we're using everywhere else, so it's no surprises in it.
And we've got public health on the agenda next week.
I think it's next week. I can't remember. Yeah.
We need all of the space for currently occupied.
That's something you'd have to talk with Krista about, but this is the whole top floor that they currently occupy.
Be hard to bust it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or clean
I
it
think
up.
it would be hard
Clean it up to bust it out.
too for community action to say they were gonna rent out
Too long.
2 offices to someone else when public health has the access and use of the rest of it, so.
I think with all the moving around we've done over the last year, new building at Spectrum, and the first plan to move public health there, now to move public health in the community is asking lots of questions, so it'd be great to have some answers next Monday.
Can we vote on, should we? Do we have to vote on it or just the lease?
Yeah.
The lease, to approve the lease.
I move to approve that. Yeah.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve the public health lease. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Next up, we have P and Z and Board of Adjustment appointments. Got any comments, Tony?
All right, Tony Phillips, Planning and Zoning. On the Planning and Zoning Commission, we have the 2 terms of Dave Meyer and Melissa O'Rourke expiring. And they have both expressed interest in being reappointed. And then we have 2 applications for the Planning and Zoning Commission. One is Thomas Hanson and the other one is Paul Littlegraven. On the Board of Adjustment, we have a term of Nancy Eldridge that is expiring, and she also has expressed interest in being reappointed. Difference this year is the gender balance is no longer a requirement on the board of positions.
Do you have any recommendations?
On the Board of Adjustment, Nancy Eldridge, I think that's an obvious choice. Very good, no problem. On the Planning and Zoning Commission, I would like to see David Meyer reappointed. I would like to go with Paul Littlegraven as the second one on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I talked to P and Z commissioners about this week, and they feel like they have a really strong team right now working together. And there's institutional history there for the last 4 years for these 2 commissioners that are willing to serve again. And the one that she has a law degree and ag, she works in ag through Iowa State Extension. If we've got volunteers that want to continue working on commissions, the precedent is that we graciously say thank you and reappoint them to another 4 years.
I'd make a motion to approve Dave Meyer and Paul Littlegraven. Recommendation.
I think we should look at precedent here and be very careful with this appointment.
We're not having a discussion, are we, Mr. Chairman?
Education.
What's that?
Is there a motion on the floor? We're having discussion or what?
We would have room for discussion afterwards. I was just gonna ask.
For a second, to the motion.
Oh,
Do you want to do them one at a time or can you do 2?
You could do both if you want. Or you can do them separately. That's up to you.
I make a motion for Dave Meyer and Paul Littlegraven. For planning and zoning.
I'll second that.
Have a motion for David Meyer and Paul Willigan for positions on the P and Z.
I'd like to know reasoning behind that based on
Is there any
qualifications.
further discussion?
I think Melissa does a great job, and I think gender issue is a good thing for the conference. She has great qualifications, and I would recommend her staying with what we have.
And I've attended several of the P and Z meetings, and it's clear to me that Melissa goes really deep into research on P and Z questions and does the site visits. She drives to these locations. She knows her stuff very, very well. And they do work as a good team right now, and they're feeling like they have a strong team right now. She brings a lot of experience, 4 years of experience with her. And we've always reappointed people who want to continue to serve on our commissions. So I just want to know what the basis is behind your reasoning on this one.
I served on P and Z for a couple of years, and including with Melissa. I think I admire the commitment that she has made, but I see no reason why, after a person has served there for a lengthy period of time, we cannot have some new members on that commission. I think that it's all within reason. I think the visiting sites and all the rest of that is just part of the requirement of being on planning and zoning. When I was on there, I went out and visited all of the sites that we were seeing and did the exact same thing. So I see no reason why we can't bring some new blood up when the commission decides.
Do you agree that this is breaking precedent?
We make appointments. We don't have to have a precedent that we continue to, because a person wants to stay on there does not mean that we have to do that. I mean, that's within our purview.
We reappointed Mary Hoffman because of her institutional knowledge on that board. And I think that would apply to this one too. Same with Dave Meyer. I think they both served very, very well, and I'd like to see them continue. They've each done 4 years, correct? One term?
Second.
They've each done 1 term.
I think Dave Meyer was a fill-in, so he's only been there for half a term.
Yeah, and she's only been there for 1 term. I would like to see the continuation of knowledge and the continuation of that research. They're a good team right now. They work very well together.
I would certainly agree with that.
I'm not gonna judge nobody, but the word Raven is a great person to, he's got knowledge and stuff too, so I'm not gonna sit here and judge it, but I made a motion to what I'd like to see, so.
All right. Is there any other further discussion?
And we ain't gonna change the gender balance. It was 3 to 4, now it's just, I mean, it's gender balance ain't gonna change.
You know, it's not happening in the shooting.
It's
No,
not
it's
an
not
issue.
an issue anymore either. So.
Yeah.
I think we should not go through with this and table it till we can have more input from the current team on this appointment.
I think we've been given the information.
Yeah, we've got good information studied, so.
Well, the information I have, we're back to where we were on another issue.
Yeah.
Is one is more qualified than the other. If you look at experience, education, and what they do in their job. Melissa works with ag families through Iowa State Extension, and she's a lawyer dealing with ag issues. She's a great asset to this team.
And we've also got the recommendation of our planning and zoning director, who I think has best handle on what works in his department.
Why would you prefer him or recommend him?
So actually, I know all of these people, and I have worked with them, including Tom Hansen. And I have reasons that we probably will not be discussing in a public meeting, but there are reasons that I would like to see Dave Meyer and Paul Littlegraven on the planning zone commission.
In my experience at PNC meetings, the research that Melissa does and the things she brings to the table sometimes can be uncomfortable for people, but they're fact-based. And for instance, we had a residence that was built on flood protection land several years ago, and she actually did a site visit and realized they'd already built it. And that was, I'm glad she did that site visit and brought that to the table and brought that to the attention of everybody involved. And we were able to work through that in a very good way through communication and working together. And I think that speaks to the strength of that team, that they got through that challenging piece together. Her research is very beneficial to the PNC Commission.
So I think I'm gonna lean on Tony's recommendation. So. You want Kevin?
Well, I just wanted to make a comment that, I don't know of any publication that said that there were openings in either one of the commissions.
Well, unless it may haven't published for P&Z.
We don't publish for,
Were they publicized?
No, I have not made any ads for it. These are all volunteer
positions.
applications.
We don't put any advertisements out for any of our commissions. It's sort of like.
The only time I put an ad out is when we have had a vacancy. That we've had no applications, we had a vacancy.
This is,
And
this is an ending term, correct?
these are long-term aspirations.
I would beg to differ, that, in the past, there's been many occurrences where the supervisors would post that there are openings, whether or not there were vacancies or not. Just in general, the terms of getting reappointed have changed over time. And that now you have to reapply. So that opens it up to everybody in the community, and I didn't see anything anywhere that said that it was.
Andy, can I ask you a question while we're still here? Are we required to post anything for the openings?
think that may be a best practice. I'm not sure it's.
I publish in this late November, December, when you have openings for conservation, public health, those, but the ones that happen, P&Z and VA are at different times of the year. So they take care of that or whatever the procedure is on their own. So I don't get involved in that.
But those commissions you mentioned are quasi-independent commissions that are fall under different category.
But the appointees are from this board.
That's true, Kevin. And all appointments are listed on the county website and their terms with the expirations. So it's all there in the public sphere.
I think in the interest of transparency, I kind of always go back to that. I think people got used to me saying transparency a lot. We just heard from our county attorney, the word best practice. Don't we want to be the best we can as a county? And why don't we table this, publish it, that there are openings, and see if we get other applicants. There might be other people interested too. And then come back to this next week or in 2 weeks and look at this again.
Oh, we're having a hard time with 4 applicants. What would we do if we have 10?
That would be what a supervisor should be able to do.
Sometimes they get criticized for using their opinion.
That's part of being a supervisor.
We look into it.
Well,
So the next time we have a point, we can go ahead. We got.
I feel like this was, how did these 2 individuals know that these renewals were up?
They probably saw it on the website or something.
That'd be pure speculation.
No idea.
I really think we should get the experience, the knowledge, the institutional wisdom and best practices and do what we've always done. And allow volunteers to continue their service to this community.
well, we have a motion and a second, and Andy said that it is not a requirement. I think it would be a best bet going forward. And we make sure there is a publication of any upcoming positions open. But I'm going to call this to a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 2-2.
No.
Do we have any action on the Board of Adjustment appointment?
Do we have any candidates that have applied, Tony?
There were no other applications on the Board of Adjustment.
And I wondered if there was any advertising for that.
I think we just went over that.
Move to reappoint Nancy Eldridge.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to reappoint Nancy Eldridge. Is there any further discussion?
They're gonna recommend in the future, we advertise these positions. No.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimous.
And just for Tony's benefit and yours, I don't advertise like pay, I just put a public notice. Right. Which is a different fee structure for public notice, so when there's openings, we just put a public notice that the board's accepting applications for.
We also have it started on our website.
We'll send it on the website.
We put the applications always on the website, and the list of what when terms come up is on the website, yes.
For the record, Melissa will work on a planned vacation, a known planned vacation, and could not be here to speak on her behalf today. We did receive a letter from her saying that she would like to continue to serve. And she's the only one who sent us a letter that she'd like to continue to.
No, didn't.
He's got two applications.
Dave Meyer had sent, that he forwarded to them a request to be
Oh, yes.
reappointed, yes.
Yeah, so everybody who was on for reappointment was asked with a form, and they filled out the form that said they wanted to be reappointed. And I've given this information to the board. And then the two applications were given to the board also.
She had sent an additional.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We need to discuss any more of that recording?
No, I think I've got what we need in the minutes so that we'll get IT to hopefully as soon as possible to come and tell how they could facilitate it.
Okay. I have a question. With these internet services that are being installed, there are certain areas where it's not going to be extremely profitable for the providers, so they just skip over them. This being federal money that's paying for that, is that legal on their part, or how does this work?
You mean the ones that are grant funded out in the rural areas?
Yes.
My understanding,
Does this have to be in the agenda?
We're just discussing it. It's just a question I brought up.
my understanding, basically, because I'm one of the customers, that they surveyed residents ahead of time and asked if they may have interest. So I got a survey, asked if I had interest. I'm assuming that if nobody on my road would have said they had interest, they wouldn't have put the line down the road.
Who's your provider?
Ours came through Hawkeye, or what, the electric co-op and Harmony Telephone. My Energy and the Harmony, which works with Harmony and Mabel Telephone.
The reason I'm bringing this up is a lady that has to use the internet service, and all her neighbors have it, and there's two people on her road and they don't have it. So she was asking for answers. And
Mine is a dead end road, and so they surveyed me ahead of time. I mean, they asked if I would be maybe interested, no commitment. I mean, if I don't sign up for it, I don't have to take it, but
Sure.
but if there was a chance that I would want it, then they wanted to know ahead of time, and it must have been that that I said yes, and I think they went on down the road, so people further down the dead end road must have also said yes, because they buried it all the way down.
So
A friend of mine had that situation and he called, Jamie called, and they came back and even though they laid the line fast.
well, see, they didn't even put a line in front to offer it.
This is an offshoot too, so.
And she's been calling numerous times. She said, well, you know where, but I said, well, squeaky wheels one sometimes get the grease, so.
But I would think if it's a federally funded grant, we're supposed to provide to everybody.
Everybody,
That-
nobody's
that's my take on it.
Yeah, So I think legally they, I'm not a lawyer, but they were, that was part of the grant. That's why they did it. It's that rural residents should have access to.
Do you,
fiber.
There's no way that the residents, as far apart as the residents are and the amount it costs to install it, that they could have done it without the grant money.
yeah, I understand
Yeah,
that.
so.
But if they're choosing not to spend $50,000 just because it's not ever gonna be profitable, whether they're paying for it or not, it seems a little unfair to the landowners. So I didn't know if anybody knew of somebody to get a hold of to ask questions.
I did have the person call whatever company was burying in front of their nearest their area, because they're different projects in the different parts of the county. So it may be like Mark's friend, that if they call and ask, that they can get it.
It took about 8 calls.
Maybe I'll tell her that. You're only on number 4 yet. All right, I just wanted to ask that question so I can answer it. Consent agenda?
You have the compensation board, you missed that, I think.
I did.
We talked about this a couple months ago, and you said to wait till after the 6 county meeting. So that's why I put it back on the agenda now.
It was not discussed at the 6th county meeting.
Okay.
We stepped on that. Is there any way of getting past the minutes from the compensation board meeting?
They give a report. They don't. They give and annually they give a report. I don't know that they keep any official minutes besides what they put in the report they send to you.
We could ask. if
It's
we-
basically, it basically says the letter is basically similar each time, you know, we appreciate the service of our elected officials and we've done this research and here's what we recommend, basically is how it is worded every time. And I could go back and get their recommendation letters for several years, but you've seen the last few anyway.
I think it's a great way to have volunteers from the community, costs us nothing. Back again to the transparency and community involvement issue. There is no harm there to have a compensation board. And it involves our community and it gives us some comps, good comps for the whole state. Whether we take those recommendations or not, they're there.
I think it's nice to have the public doing the research and putting that together. Certainly saves us a step.
Can we table this for one week? Then give me a chance to reach out to the other counties and just see what they did, since we kind of forgot to talk about that. at 6
Some
county.
have them and some.
Okay, let's do that. All right, maybe we'll go to the consent agenda now. It's been kind of a mixed up.
All I have is the minutes.
I'd move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This is unanimous. Any other community service building updates?
No. DHS.
One little thing has to be done down there just to finish up the final work on that sprinkler drops into the conference room and so forth. That'll be probably handled this week.
Any committee reports?
I had that request by the Luther College mock trial team to use the courtroom for a practice. They switched the date because of a conflict with a candidate forum that they had on the first date they requested. So just wondering if anybody is willing to come in on October 17th in the evening and basically provide access and security, or at least make sure everyone gets exited and the doors get locked when it's over.
I have a conflict that Dave has already, this book many years in advance.
On the 17th of October, I may be available.
I can look into it also.
I think that their normal practice time is 7 till 9, but they said they could be flexible if the person, if we need them to be. They moved it up 1 week. It was gonna, they did say the 24th originally, but that's been, I guess, the night of the candidate forum on campus, so they didn't want to conflict with that.
It's an ethics and public engagement
There's,
program, 7 to 8:30 on the 20th.
and so it would be somebody would come in and when I've done it in the past for groups, I don't unlock the door. I stand by the door and let people in so that you know that you aren't letting random people in. And so then once their whole team gets in, you can basically just hang out in the building till they're done to make sure they leave and the lights get turned off. That's what I've done.
Sounds like a fascinating night.
Yeah, yeah. You could sit in the back and listen to their practice.
Would you want to do it, Shirley? or-
I think I am available and Dan's gonna check too.
Okay.
And you might be too. So you got 3 possible.
Okay, so yeah, first one to let me know, then I can confirm with them that there will be someone, and if that time works, then that'd be great.
Anyone have anything else?
Move to adjourn.
Second. Motion is second for adjournment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah. I got some back to do if you need it. Not like it's the last day.
And I had a bunch of heavy stuff to carry in, so I parked in the parking lot so I could carry it in easier, and now I probably should go move, just to create more spots out there.
You need my trip to have.
It was something driving on the gravel roads north of Islandville. So washboard. So,
I'll be here for a few minutes for office hours, for the next 30, 45 minutes.
No.
You're down to 2 supervisors if you want to sign off.
Am I down to 2?
Well, thanks.
Thank you for attending, everybody.
Thank you.